Welcome to the Daily Faded, where we get faded daily and talk about news and politics of the day. Normally, it's a very slow process, but I don't smoke in the house, so I don't smoke in the house, so I had to smoke and blow it out the window, out the door. And yeah, so anyway, welcome to the Daily Faded. I'm Hetz. And tonight we're talking Trump v. Biden v. Bernie. Who wants to be a president? Coronavirus edition. We got three completely different takes on what it means to be presidential from Trump, Biden, and Bernie. And I want to talk about that a little bit, as well as the implications of what their plans / proposals are. But we'll get to that a little bit later. Shut up, dog. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm really stoned. So, this is one for the ages. Come here. That's Ludwig. Anyway, you better chill now, dog. So, in the age of coronavirus, this show is how we safely hang out together and get stoned together. I saw that Late Night with Seth Meyer is going off the air. I assume that I will be getting most of his audience. So we're excited about that. And I was thinking about doing this and why I like doing it, and thank you for watching. And I thought the best thing about doing this is that when I'm at work, I'm already stoned. Instead of finishing work, then going home to get stoned, I get stoned at home to finish my work. And I think that's a good way to live. I think that's a good way to do things. And I wanted to talk just for a couple of minutes about what I'm doing. Because I want to recognize that doing this live streaming and consuming cannabis live is really coming from a place of privilege. I'm privileged to live in the state of California, where it is completely legal, and it's been normalized in some places, but not in others. Obviously, we've all seen Joe Rogan smoking with his guests on his show. And there's a whole cannabis enthusiast movement going on, which I think is very cool. But I want to also recognize that, I'm a privileged white person in a privileged state. And, I want to spread tolerance and respect for cannabis culture. So, to me, this is a way of helping normalize it, which is what we need for the cultural shift to truly legalize marijuana federally and start getting into 420 reparations for people who have been in prison for long terms for marijuana possession. And obviously, building the businesses in the communities that were hardest hit by them so that the communities can now be getting some of the windfall of money that's being made in this new industry. Oh boy. One quick note before getting onto coronavirus. We are at war. And this afternoon, we launched an attack on Iranian-backed militias in Iraq that are believed to be responsible for yesterday's attack on Taji Air Base, where 2 Americans and 1 Brit died. So, the war continues unabated. Coronavirus doesn't stop it. I heard this on Colbert. This had me laughing for a long time last night. The Council on Foreign Relations Coronavirus Conference gets canceled because of the coronavirus. In related news, the International Irony Festival is going ahead as planned. All right. You probably all heard that Major League Baseball suspended spring training, and they're pushing back opening day, I think, 2 weeks right now. This may be the best news story of the day. Pornhub will allow people living in Italy to access Pornhub Premium for free throughout the month of March, as the whole country is in lockdown, and will donate part of their earnings to help Italy fight the coronavirus emergency. Oh my God. I just think that is so funny. Pornhub being a public health, benefit. Oh. And then from that to the macabre, there was a Washington Post headline: Iran's vast coronavirus burial pits are visible by satellite. Now, to report on that right now, I cannot, because I could not click on the article because I did not want to see those images. So I have no further commentary on that. From the LA Times, we've had 32 cases in LA County, 198 cases in California. Disneyland is closing tomorrow. Movies releases are getting pushed back. Here's an interesting story that I came across. Tests by the US government and other scientists have shown the virus can live as long as 4 hours on copper, 24 hours on cardboard, and up to 3 days on plastic and steel. Worth noting that there's no evidence that anyone has contracted the virus from touching a contaminated surface at this point. I thought that was an interesting thing to say, well, here's all of the amount of time it can survive on all these different surfaces, and you're completely and totally fucked. But no one actually gets it from surfaces. Well, which is it? It's completely bizarro. So Trump, everything, the travel ban, they got it completely wrong. It exempts countries that Trump has resort properties on, and American citizens and their families can travel. So he got that completely wrong. His claim that health insurers have agreed to waive all co-payments for coronavirus treatments was news to them. They said for testing, not for treatment. A spokesperson for the major insurance lobby, AHIP, says. I mean, Jesus Christ, the combination of incompetence and greed. Um, the Fed infused $1.5 trillion into the markets. But what will be done for the hourly workers, the gig workers, the people with no paid sick leave? Trump is still kicking 800,000 people off of food stamps April 1st. To say that the administration is out of touch is a wild understatement. NPR reported today that Trump was asked to increase testing and said, no, don't increase the amount of testing to keep the numbers down. Alex Azar first went to him in January. So Trump's Oval Office address last night, which we talked about last night, it was just sad. You know, he just wasn't up to the task. He looked nervous. He was fidgeting. He was slurring words together, and he, you know, putting aside being presidential, because he's never presidential, it just wasn't particularly reassuring. And there were no ideas. There were no ideas, you know. And like I said last night, we need 300 million N95 masks, and we have 13 million stockpiled. I would like an answer to how we're going to change that situation. I'd like to hear those kinds of specifics. But there was nothing from Trump. So Trump is just F, you know. Biden, on the other hand, this morning, stop licking me, Ludwig. Sorry. Biden, on the other hand, this morning, this show is much harder to do when I start off fully baked. I think that's why there's just one of you watching tonight. It's probably a good thing. But so Biden was presidential. He was fine. He was reading off a teleprompter, and he did not have any trouble reading. Not the way Trump had trouble reading off the teleprompter last night. You know, Joe was able to read all of his lines, and had a reassuring and empathetic vibe, you know, and you could see some of the political skills that he does have, which I honestly have underestimated. I think he has more political skill than I gave him credit for. But it was very vague. It was all generalizations, and it didn't feel like he had a command of the subject. You know, he didn't go into any details. He said things like, this is from the website. You know, first of all, he was attacking Trump a lot in his speech, which I thought was unnecessary after the first time. Like, just get it out there. Trump is an asshole and he's doing a terrible job. Here's what we need to do. But he kept going after Trump time and time again. And he said, so we're restoring trust, credibility, and common purpose, mounting an effective national emergency response that saves lives, protects frontline workers, and minimizes the spread of COVID-19, eliminating cost barriers for prevention of and care for COVID-19, pursuing decisive economic measures to help hard-hit workers, families, and small businesses, and to stabilize the American economy, rallying the world to confront this crisis while laying the foundation for the future. I mean, there's nothing that I just read that I would say, no, I object to that. That, that it's fine. It's fine. But it's just not specific. What do you mean? Like, have you taken everything into consideration? Now, that said, when you go see to his website and you read the Biden plan, I went and I read it, and it's much, much more detailed. They've thought of a lot. It's very wonky, um, and um, it feels like band-aids rather than cures. Um, that's how I would describe it: band-aids rather than cures. Um, but I'm concerned that there was a level of considerable detail on the website. I'm concerned that Joe Biden couldn't represent that when he was speaking about it. Like, I would like him to be facile with the information and understanding what all of the ramifications and implications and otherifications are. um, I hope you're having a drink or sparking up. Because then you'll be more patient with me. But no, like I want him to know what he's talking about, and I want to hear it from him. And I want, with Obama, when Obama was handling something like Ebola, you always knew that he understood what was going on. You always knew that he was paying attention to the details, and he had great command of. So did Bill Clinton, for that matter. So did Bill Clinton. But Bernie, I think, so maybe Joe Biden gets a C, maybe a B minus. I thought Bernie was A plus. I think he used more. I think he spoke in plainer terms than Joe Biden. He said that we have to look at this as being on the scale of a major war, and we must act accordingly. He's really the only one to put it in such stark terms, And he said we could have more fatalities than we suffered in World War II, based on the epidemiology. And he emphasized that we must take care of the most vulnerable in our society, and that we are all in this together. So right from the beginning, it was inclusive, and it felt convincing, And he said we have to declare a national emergency right away. He said Congress must take responsibility since the administration is so inept, and start passing laws immediately, and that all of the policy must be based on the science. He said we had to immediately staff hotlines at state and federal level with people who are trained with expert information. He said we need complete transparency, information coming from respected scientists and experts, not just from politicians. Immediate measures for the elderly, the incarcerated and detained immigrants, regardless of status. He said, obviously, this shows that we need Medicare for all, because we're only as safe as the least well cared for in our society. He said, but today we must make it an absolute that everyone in our country must be able to get all of the healthcare for COVID-19 without cost. The vaccine must be free for everyone. Emergency funding for paid family and medical leave, which Joe Biden also talks about. Expanding access to healthcare facilities by doing more like community health centers and things like that. Again, that was a more holistic kind of a thing than where Biden was coming from. That we must make the tests as available as quickly as possible. We should be learning from countries like South Korea on how they did it so rapidly. He said we have a major shortage. And again, these are like juicy details to me, you know. We have a major shortage of ICU units and ventilators, and the federal government should immediately begin expanding the stock of those. Mobilize medical residents, retired medical personnel to expand the amount of healthcare providers. Big Pharma must be told in no uncertain terms that medicine for this crisis will be sold at cost, no price gouging, no profiteering. Make sure that we take care of the elderly, working families, the homeless, provide emergency unemployment insurance, 100% of salary capped at $60K a year, and that includes for tip workers, gig workers, domestic workers, independent contractors. Expand Meals on Wheels, SNAP, school lunches so no one goes hungry, and everyone who cannot leave their home can receive nutritious meals at home. Again, I think that's really thinking through the problem, really thinking through what the crisis is going to mean in people's lives. An immediate moratorium on evictions, foreclosures, and utility shutoffs. And interestingly enough, during the day, several different municipalities came out and said that they were instituting moratoriums on evictions, foreclosures, or utilities being shut off. He said we need to construct emergency homeless shelters for the homeless and for all of those who may be newly displaced as a result of the pandemic. People who, kids who their college semester is over early and they don't have any place to go. Anyway, and how important is it to stop evictions and foreclosures? Just stop them in their tracks right now, because people shouldn't be getting kicked out of their homes at times like this. Again, thinking through what people are going to feel and experience. And emergency lending to small and medium-sized businesses. All Biden needs to do is tread water and not have any big gaffes. Oh, and not be Trump. It's sad that this is what it's come to, but the public at large doesn't care about policy. Look, you may be right. You may be right. You may be right. This may all just be an exercise, It may all just be an exercise. But I think it ain't over till it's over. And if Bernie Sanders can make a super convincing case, if he can make a super convincing case at the debate on Sunday that he is the president to handle coronavirus, that could change the race. I'm not saying it's likely, but it could change the race. Or Joe Biden could do what I said last night, that I thought he would do. um, but you know, something just tells me, yeah, it's going to be super interesting. Heads up with no audience. No audience is so important. So important because those audiences are always 80% Democratic elites, and maybe 20% Bernie people. Um, so the ridiculous cheering for fucking Joe Biden, none of that. It'll just be one on one. It's in DC. It was going to be in Arizona, but they decided to keep it in DC because of coronavirus. So, uh, so that's going to be interesting on Sunday night, and I can't, I can't bear another one of these Tuesday voting days, primary days, and voter turnout is going to be so low. Oh no! Maybe all the old people will stay home, and Bernie will start winning in by mad numbers. It could happen, right? Like the old people are really afraid. Oh, go coronavirus, go. Oh God. Okay. Well, that is it. That is all I got. Um, Thank you for being here tonight. Thank you for watching. Uh, you're right. I am going to hell. Oh God. Oh man. Well, there was one story. I saw it on Twitter. There were videos and still images of a riot at some university that I never heard of before, a University of Dayton or something like that. And basically, they had all been told that they're going home. They're all getting kicked out of student housing. So they were just all out in the street, like having a party. They're like having their getting kicked out party. And the cops showed up and started hitting them with pepper balls. Uh, it was it was fascinating. Anyway, uh, stay home, old people. Stay home. You will catch coronavirus if you go vote. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you on Monday night. Peace out.